Recently, I came across a video on how to study while sleeping and boosting memory overnight, and I found it very interesting. So I'd like to share with you some of the things I've learned. So, firstly, what happens in your brain when you sleep? So, when you sleep, it's actually a very crucial tool in learning, and your brain doesn't just shut off. Instead, it actually continues to study and even solve problems, storing information and even creativity. And it's kind of seen as a secret classroom. So yeah, basically when you sleep, you don't just rest, and instead it's your brain coming up with a strategy, and it can just help long-term memory as well. So you might already know there's different stages of sleep. So there's deep non-REM sleep, which actually consolidates the facts and vocabulary or numbers. So it's kind of like saving data onto a mental hard drive. So maybe you've just read a textbook or something with a bunch of facts on it. In your deep non-REM sleep, it would basically just file all of those facts away, so that put it inside your memory. And then REM sleep will foster creativity. It can link new information and old one, and create new neural patterns between basically just join up different information, and it can help recognize patterns and solve problems. This often appears in dreams. So loads of historical breakthroughs were from this type of sleep. So lots of Einstein's ideas came from this, and even lots of songs that Paul McCartney came to him in his dreams. So secondly is 3 pre-sleep rituals to boost learning. So firstly is reading or reviewing important information or material right before you sleep, so that when you sleep your brain will replay the content in your head and it can just go through it while asleep, which is why some teachers or people might recommend just reviewing your notes right before you go to bed, so then you have a lot of time to just digest the information subconsciously. Secondly is avoid screen light, as our screens contain a type of light called blue light, which actually disrupts melatonin production, and that's the chemical that signals our body that it needs to rest. So if you look at a lot of screens before going to bed, you might find it really hard to sleep. Thirdly is nutrition. So basically yeah, you might know that the things you eat will also affect how well you sleep, and if you have a calm mind. So obviously, for example, if you have coffee right before bed, then you won't be able to sleep very well because it contains caffeine. So thirdly is how our environment can improve our learning when we sleep. So we can use scents as memory triggers. So if we for example, use an oil-based lavender or rose scent when we're working, we can associate that specific scent with study sessions, and then put on that scent when we sleep, so that it can reactivate the memory trace in our brain. And it actually will enhance memory retention, because you already associate that scent with something when you're really focused. So then when you're sleeping and you smell that, your brain will automatically focus in as well. And yeah, basically just optimize the environment, make sure you're sleeping in a place where there's not a lot of distractions, and the best ideas will often come upon waking. So it's best to keep a dream journal. I'm sure many of you, when you just wake up, you remember your dream for 1 second, but then right after you start doing something else, you completely forget about what it is. And yeah, and our brain will subconsciously work on problems. So lastly is, why does our brain solve questions long after we've stopped studying? So it's actually because, as I mentioned before, it can subconsciously work on the problem. It can reorganize the information and consolidate our memory to file it away systematically, and filter out unimportant information and keep the important ones. And there's also something called an incubation effect, when after we take a break from intense focus, then our brain will have space to actually step back and look at what we've just done, and make new ideas and connect them to each other. So in conclusion, when we're sleeping, our brain will it doesn't just completely shut off. It's actually a very important part. So I think the most important thing to take away is probably that like sleep is really important to us, and you need to make sure to have like lots of it because it's actually a key stage in learning. And also to make sure to like read or like review important material before bed. Avoid like especially avoid like screens. Maybe like you can do it so that there's ways to do it. So for example, having a blue light filter or specific glasses that can stop the light, or just having 1 hour of like tech free and just instead read a book instead of scrolling on your phone, which can help with relaxation. And yeah, be careful like what you eat as well. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.